I'm going to call the
Recording in progress.
fabulous. Okay, I'm going to call the Wednesday, May 26, 2021 meeting of the City of Ojai Building Appeals Board to order. Can we get a roll call?
Okay. Chair William Ulrich,
Present?
Vice Chair Tom Farmer. Tom, are you there? We know he's here. He's not talking.
Well, he's muted.
Oh, he's muted.
Yeah, can you unmute, Tom?
I don't know if he can't hear us.
Okay.
Member Bob Daddy.
Present.
Member Rene Rowley.
Reno, you in?
Reno? Well, he was here a minute ago. Anyway, and myself, Dale Hansen. We're all here more or less.
Okay, well, pending other folks joining us, I think we have a quorum, so we'll proceed from this perspective. Let someone lead us in a Pledge of Allegiance.
Do we do that? Okay. Who can hear us? I pledge allegiance
To the flag,
to the flag, United
States of America, and to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation, under God,
with liberty and justice
indivisible,
and
for
justice
all.
for all.
Fabulous. We got through that too. Okay.
Yes.
Public communications is a time set aside during the Building Appeals Board meeting for members of the public to address the Building Appeals Board on items of city business other than scheduled agenda items. Matters raised at this time may be briefly discussed by the board and will generally be referred to staff and or placed on a subsequent agenda. Under state law, other than for emergency items, no action can be taken at this meeting. Do we, Cheryl, do we have anyone member of the public or someone who is interested in communicating? Board?
No, we do not at this time.
Okay. In that case, then we'll move to consent items. All matters listed on the consent calendar are to be considered routine by the governing bodies and will be enacted by one motion in the form listed. There will be no discussion of these items unless before the governing board votes, before the governing body votes on the motion to adopt, specific items are removed from the consent calendar for separate motions. The only item we have is the minutes of the regular meeting of the Building Appeals Board of September 29, 2020. Does anyone have?
I make a motion that we adopt the minutes as stated in our packet.
Is there a second?
I second it.
All right. In that case, then, do we need a roll call on that, or do we just all vote aye?
I don't think we need a roll call.
Okay. In that case, let's vote aye.
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 All right. Hearing no nays, the motion is adopted for the consent item. Discussion item number 2.
Chair Ulrich?
Yes.
If I could please interrupt. We actually are required to have a vote on that item. If you could please conduct the vote.
Well, I did ask about that. So, okay, at this point, in that case, you're saying we need a roll call vote.
Yes, because it's a remote meeting, a roll call is required.
Okay.
Because it's remote. Okay, so Chair Ulrich,
Yes.
Vice Chair Tom Farmer, Member Robert Daddy,
Yes.
Member Reno Rowley,
Yes.
and myself, yes.
Passes.
Very good. Okay, can we move then to discussion item number 2, selection of new Building Appeals Board chairperson and vice chairperson.
Yes, I nominate the current chair as the new and present chair of the Building Appeals Board.
I second.
Are there any other nominations? Hearing none. Welcome, Chair Ulrich.
Okay.
Now you'll do the vice chair.
All right, then do we have any motion relative to vice chair?
I'll make a motion for vice chair for Tom Farmer if he'll accept it again.
I do believe that has to go to, the chair has to be voted on.
Okay. All in favor of William Ulrich as continuing as chair? Aye. Any opposed? We don't have to have a roll call, do we? Tom?
Yes, if you could please take a roll call.
Even
All right.
even if there's no opposition?
Right? Let's just blow through it.
Okay. Bob Daddy,
Aye.
Tom Farmer, Bill Ulrich.
I'm not going to vote for myself,
Not going to
so
vote for yourself. Go ahead. Reno Rowley.
Yes.
Bill Hanson, yes. Carry on.
Majority aboard, so it carries.
3 votes.
okay. So we have then vice chair. We have a motion and a second. Can we? Although he's sort of in absentia, I guess we'll still vote for him.
Yeah, it's his problem.
All right. So would you get a roll call, please?
Okay, Chair Ulrich,
Yes.
Vice Chair Farmer, Member Daddy,
Yes.
Member Rollet,
Yes.
myself, yes.
Okay. Motion carries. We'll hear from Tom sometime or another.
Yeah.
By the way, what there seems to be some a background. Where's that coming from?
Oh, please, I'm on a Zoom call.
It's probably coming from Tom.
Well, he's
He's disappeared from the screen.
Oh, yeah, he's gone.
I'm on a Zoom call.
it's coming from somewhere else.
It appears it's coming from Dale Hansen's microphone.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Got a busy office there.
Yeah, you can just mute that, Dale, so you can listen and we don't have to get the background until you're ready to speak.
Unmute when you want to speak. Yeah.
Okay. Having said that, we move to discussion item number 3, accessory dwelling unit standard plan program. And I will, at this point, read the administrative report, or why don't I let Tom address that? If you would, Mr. Jesuit.
So the council has directed the staff bring the the accessory dwelling unit standard plan program concept to the Building Appeals Board for recommendations to council on how to proceed. So that's kind of what the overview of the staff report is. I have provided examples that the Ventura County Building and Safety uses currently as their standard plan as examples. In speaking with Ventura County, they are currently looking to update their plans as these are very boxy and plain. They were intended for farm workers to help farm workers create habitations for farm workers, and then will are also utilizing them as standard plans for ADUs. There are other cities, LA, I do believe it is, or LA County, I can't remember which one it was. The city of LA, they have a few standard plans also, which again, we wouldn't be able to necessarily use them, but those are design concepts and plans that we'd be able to kind of develop off of. Not us as building and safety, it would be more of outside architects possibly developing this and submitting plans, but that's kind of what the discussion is going to go forward here about.
Okay. I'm going to then, let me for the record read the administrative report, and then we can open for discussion. At the April 13, 2021 City Council meeting, the City Council requested the Building Appeals Board review the accessory dwelling unit standard plan program to provide a recommendation on possible next steps. The state of California has identified ADUs as a key component to increasing the availability of housing in California. The City Council had created an ADU second unit compliance program to legalize existing units and reviewed and extended the city's ADU second unit compliance program at the February 23, 2021 City Council meeting. The ADU second unit compliance program has resulted in 74 units legalized since 2013. The program was recently extended through March 8, 2023. Shortly after that meeting on March 5, 2021, the City of Los Angeles announced the launch of the ADU Standard Plan Program, an initiative from LA Department of Building and Safety that offers builders and homeowners a variety of pre-approved ADU building plans and designs to allow for faster and less expensive permitting. The program gives Los Angeles residents 20 pre-approved design options from 10 different licensed firms, and residents can choose from one of the pre-approved layouts and reduce the building and safety plan check process from the standard 4 to 6 weeks to as little as 1 day, assuming no deviations from the standard plans. The program took a year to develop and will operate as a 7-month pilot project. The project is also expected to reduce costs for homeowners when developing an ADU. Standard plans are viewable at a website, which is on the administrative report. There are several variations on this program which the city can consider. For example, the County of Ventura initiated a similar program in October 2017. The Ventura County program has 3 plans: a 700 square foot 1-bedroom unit configuration, a 900 square foot 2-bedroom unit configuration, and a 1,200 square foot 3-bedroom unit configuration. The Ventura County program plans have been provided as an example in Appendix A. The plans cannot be modified in any way and cannot be used in elevations above 4,000 feet. The plans reduce the timeline and cost for planning and engineering. Los Angeles program is very robust and has a wide variety of eye-catching plans. The designs are submitted by architectural firms. Once a resident selects a plan for the Los Angeles City website, they then reach out to the architectural firm to refine details and work out a fee. The program will continue to expand as firms submit their plans. It is unclear at this time whether architects would be willing to submit plans to the City of Ojai under a similar program. If the City Council is interested in this type of program, staff will reach out to local architect firms. Alternatively, the County of Ventura's program only has the 3 plans identified above, but the county developed and owns the plans. The City of Ojai could develop pre-approved plans similar to the county.
Excuse me, Board Member Farmer, if you can hear us, you actually are sharing your screen. If you can please locate the button towards the bottom of your screen and unshare your screen, that would be appreciated.
Hi,
Hello,
Dale.
Dale.
Dale, it's you.
Hi.
Now she's frozen.
Yeah.
Okay, so having said that, I think at this point we'll open the subject to discussion.
Chair, just to kind of start it off a little easier, I would certainly like to talk to our building official and maybe what he can do is answer a number of questions so we can speed this along. Tom, we built, 73 of these things and about, we're building maybe 10 a year. They're all over the place in size. They're all over the place in footprint, allowable, where we have to have our fire divisions, our separations. And then I'm just wondering, for all the plans that come in, how long, I know what it says for LA, and I know it says 4 to 6 weeks, and I know it says 1 day, and that's fine for LA. I really don't like comparisons because, you know, LA is there. What kind of time frame do plants come in and take a turnaround for an ADU? Are we talking about months? Are we talking about weeks? Because it doesn't seem like, you know, we're not even getting a submission a month. We're not even building one a month. So what kind of turnaround time do you think we'd have?
So
Excuse
I can
me.
only speak for
I'm so
building.
sorry. Excuse me. Board Member Hanson, it appears you're sharing your screen. If you can locate the button, the green button at the bottom of your screen, and unshare your screen, that would be appreciated.
Okay,
In the meantime, I can respond.
please.
For building and safety, the first submittal is roughly 2 weeks. And then the submittals after that is a week for review time.
Okay, so that's 3 weeks.
Yeah, but so the other, it's 3 weeks, but, and you have to do the corrections and stuff like that. So it's not, you know, it's 3 weeks that it's in our hands. When it gets to, but the prior approval to that would be in planning and that kind of, and planning approval and other approvals that may be necessary at that time.
Okay, well, I'm concerned that should we attempt to do a plan where the stipulations are that no modifications can be made. And again, thank you for saying this, because I took a look at this and I said, these 35 by 35 boxes looks like a garage I could build. Certainly doesn't look like anything anybody would ever live in. And we could go off the trail into a very wide discussion. I don't want to go into a wide discussion. I want to stick to this. I've had an opportunity, and I can send this to our building official that can send it to the rest of the building board. I've contacted a place in Colorado that builds metal buildings. And they do the pre-engineering, they have the wet stamp, they do the design, they do everything. And so I asked them to send out some information on what we could do. Were we going to look at something that's affordable, quick, easy to do, uniform? And right now I can buy 5 600 square foot units, insulated, door, window, metal, engineer stamp, all that, delivered in Ojai for $90,000. That's $30 a square foot for the shell, insulated. That's like 1/10 of what some of these little ADUs are costing when they get done. I understand we've got interior sheetrock and toilets and all that stuff. And I'm wondering to the board members, if we have some places out there, because the cost of lumber has gone sky high. If we have some places out there, if it wouldn't also be beneficial to go outside and recruit a number of these manufacturing businesses that would submit what they sell, and we could take a look at that and have a catalog, and maybe we could have a catalog for 2 or 3 or 4 builders where we're not spending the money. I mean, you know, it would save the individual 10 grand. And I don't know, Tom, about us spending the money. How much money do you think it would cost for the city to develop 3 or 4 plans for ADUs with architects and go through the whole process in staff time?
That's kind of the question on how to proceed. So If an architect is going to draw up the plans, then the city would possibly review the plans then, review the plans and get them ready to be, on the shelf. Somebody comes by and picks them up. And they go, oh, I like that design. That's the one I want in my backyard. Then they go and contact the architect and say, I want to buy your plans. Then when they purchase the plans, then they can come in and say, we're using this one. And then that saves them the review time period because the review has already been done.
Okay, well, let me ask another really stupid question because this is making me go nuts. It would almost be simpler to do a catalog and to go by and do a photo shot of everything that's been done in the last X amount of years and put it on the website with the permission of the owners and ask if people could take a look at what's been done. And if they like that, the biggest problem they have is contacting an architect that did that and see if there isn't a way just to list who it is so they could get through. I know we're going to have building modifications every year and some things are going to tweak, but it appears that we already have 73 approved plans and 73 approved plans that have actually been built.
Oh, so just to clarify, 73, let me go back to how that's written. I do believe that's including the
It's all the conversions, I bet.
conversions, yeah.
Yeah.
Permitted garage conversions and stuff like that. That's all included. It's not from the ground up.
Okay, excuse me for a moment, Tom. Dale, we're getting your background
Mute.
noise. If you could mute. And also, we lost your video, so I don't know if you can restore your video feed. I don't know. I mean, I can understand Ventura County. I can understand the city of Los Angeles, county of Los Angeles needing stock format. I don't know that the city has the volume to support the entire process. And then most folks are going to want to personalize, shall we say, the design to their lot. So I don't know how, because the consistency here, and I've seen this in other jurisdictions as well, is to have a stock plan from which no deviation may be taken. And as such, that pretty much means great if it fits, but if it doesn't fit, you can't use it. And you're out there having to design something yourself anyway, or have a firm do it. So I don't know whether it's worthwhile to engage in the exercise of adopting or generating and adopting stock plans, even the counties. I mean, that's a possibility just to have them in the event someone has a large enough lot that they could drop another, as you described it, Bob, a garage, but a rather large slab structure. I also have to ask a question, Tom. The third option on siding is on the county plan is T111 over what is that? 3/8 type? No, excuse me, 5/8 type X. That I presume has a fire rating that is comparable to hardy or some other non-combustible material. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
That was adopted through our ordinance. R337 allows you to do that.
Right. Okay. So anyway, what does do the other board members think about the concept of whether developing stock? And this is, I'm proposing. Great, we can adopt the county's stock plans because it doesn't cost the city anything, and it's something that someone can use if they want to fast track something. But I don't know about going and trying to develop some specific option that not that many folks are going to utilize.
If a plan like this were adopted, is it an all or nothing? In other words, does everyone have to choose from the available options within the plan, whether it's 3 or 4 or 8 different designs? Or could you come to the city with a custom design and do it on your own?
Oh, yeah. You can always come with a custom as long you just use the plan check.
Because from my perspective, if I can just weigh in, I'm not sure this really makes a lot of sense for Ojai. I might agree with you, Bill. I mean, one of the unique qualities to me of Ojai is we're really not a cookie cutter community. We're not like a planned kind of subdivision. These drawings to me look like, something that came from an Etch-a-Sketch. And, I wouldn't want one of these. And again, I should say I'm all for increasing efficiency, especially at the counter, where this process is taking place, because God knows that culture is broken, in my opinion, right now. But the idea that, people would be pigeonholed or limited to 3 or 4, or even half a dozen designs. I mean, I think the idea would be, all the homes are different. Certainly most of the homes are different. I would want to see an accessory dwelling unit that, aesthetically matches the primary building. And I think you have to have a little more diversity than just picking between the 3 or 4 drawings. Unless I'm missing something. I like the idea that you have the flexibility and you want to operate outside of this plan. But I'm just not sure something like this fits unless I can be convinced that there's some enormous cost savings or other efficiencies that maybe I'm missing.
I can see one benefit from if were we to adopt or recommend that that the council adopt the stock plans that the counties adopted, is it at least gives an applicant something to review off the website to give them some ideas of what they're going to be including, so to speak. So I don't think that's going to cost anything. I think there's some benefit to it. And there it is. If somebody has a property that it could fit on, and they're looking for something that's extremely basic.
Sure.
But I'm pretty sure I agree with what Reno's saying, which is everybody's gonna need to find something that works with their parcel, and that's whether that's unique or not. It still has to fit on their parcel and work with perhaps their architecture, perhaps their budget. I mean, there's a lot of variables.
Chair, I'd like to say, and Tom, this is specific for you. One of my concerns is by having a pre-programmed box. Really want to know, and that's fine with the design, and that's fine with engineering, and fine with safety, but it also kind of goes into my learned friend, the chair of the Planning Commission, which is when we go ahead and we have these pre-programmed, pre-sized, pre-approved issues, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to fit, even though it's pre-programmed. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to have the coverage availability, we're going to have the setback, we're going to have the fire division separation. And so just by adopting one of these things, I guess my question would be, is this going to lead to people thinking that it's pre-approved? I can go ahead and drop a 1,200-foot unit in there. It's kind of like a lot of things that we do in the city, which I resent. You go to look and see what you need to do to build a fence, and you find out this is what you need to do. And then somewhere in the other part of the book, it says, except between April and August when you have to have bird nest clearance. And so there's a separate section attached, and there's always a separate hook. And I would be careful. I would be concerned about saying, hey, this 900 or this 700 square foot unit's done. You can get it in a day and go. And isn't there going to be other concerns, Tom? I mean, we do have side setbacks. We do have setbacks. We do have lot coverage limits. Or have we changed the ADU so many times all this has disappeared?
So those are all great questions. We back someplace. We do have, that is something that still has to be approved by planning. Just because the standard plan is approved, the design itself is approved. So but the location, where it fits on the property and how it looks, it still goes to the planning department. So these plans can be designed that it's all conventionally framed, right? So you don't have any engineering to it. It's all conventionally framed, and you have 2x6, roof rafters. And then if you have to, that can be designed to take the load of a tile roof if necessary. Or it can, the stucco you can use, or you can use hardy board, or you can use, anything that meets the high fire standard requirements. So the flexibility is still there. The aesthetics of it is an availability. But the aesthetics, as far as, I want a window here and the door there and all that kind of stuff, that won't be able to change.
Okay, so I am going to make a motion. If we don't have any more discussion, I'm going to make a motion that the number of units are so small and so limited, and that standalone units that we would be looking, instead of the conversion add-on to the existing footprint or the garage conversion, those two items, I believe, are going to be the vast majority of the 73 ADUs. I believe that we're going to have very, very few. I believe then, if we look at the numbers, we're going to have less than 2 a year when it comes to the ADUs. And I think this is going to cause more conversion. People are going to say it's approved, I can do it. And so we're going to have somebody wanting to drop a 900 or a 1200 square foot where they don't have the availability. I mean, it's different with the garage. That's by right. They get to do it. It's different doing the junior AUD or ADU. I get that stuff. But I'm going to make a motion that at this time, until we have more interest, and the city is responsible, there is a hook on this, the city is responsible to develop and get in at this time a new housing element by October. And I think there are some other fast track items that we can do. I mean, it may be easier to go to the city and ask for a demonstration and bring a half a dozen units out and see what we can do and see how many people want to put them in the backyard. Because when you're talking about a hardened steel frame delivered insulated with door and window for
I agree.
$40 a square foot, and the engineering's done and all that, and again, it's got the kind of construction that we really need, and these things are even painted. People can put some gingerbread on the outside, and they can certainly do whatever they want on the inside. So I, at this time, don't believe that we really have the need, we really have the personnel or the funds to allocate, coming up with a special program for the allowance of these. We've known we've had over 500 of these things. We've identified that about 15 years ago with Jerry Kirshner. I don't believe that cost has got a single thing to do with the single unit. I insure well over 100 of these non-permitted units. And the single factor need is with the people is that they're going to get reassessed tax-wise. And the second unit is they're going to have to pay a bond fee for every additional unit that they put on the property. They're in the old Golden State Water footprint. So I'm going to make a motion that at this time, because of lack of general public interest to build these, that the recommendation is that we don't spend the effort to develop a program. If there's no effort and we can just adopt anybody else's, and there's no cost for the adoption, we just want to have a stock, like a stock catalog, Ojai approval, I would recommend we do that. But if we can't do that and there's a cost and there's other time involved, I'd make a motion that we do not recommend spending the money on this program.
If that's a motion, I would second it, Bob.
That's a motion.
Okay, I second it.
Hey, can I get a roll call?
Yes, Chair Ulrich?
Don't we have discussion?
Yeah, we can have
I think we-
discussion.
Oh, we
I think
can.
we just did.
We just,
No, not really. Bob made a motion and Tom seconded it.
let's
And
discuss.
so you could call that a discussion, but Bob, so you're not suggesting that we adopt any of these plans before us? Is that correct?
I'm recommending I'm recommending if we can adopt other city plans at no cost and we put no effort, it's a catalog item. And we decided that Ventura, who we got our building components from, we really adopted except for the second story and the 160 square foot shed size. We adopted their rules. Now, these people are in fact a chartered city. And so as a chartered city, they made up their own rules. We adopted. We're a general law city. So there's a deviation from, what the state does. So if we want to adopt Ventura's plans and they come at no cost and no effort, or I don't care, La Jolla or any other city that wants to make plans available, and we can get them at no cost, I'm fine with that. But if we have to put time, money, and effort into it, I think it'll be something that it's easier for somebody to buy a cargo container construction where they just take it off a truck and put it in the backyard, and then that's it. They put in the foundation and the bottom work. So no, I can't see where we can use this. So that's my discussion. Anybody else have any thoughts? Anybody think it'll be flying off the shelf or that'll be an inducement?
I think you make a good point, Bob. I mean, if there's no public demand or interest, it's probably not a priority at this point.
So are we going to take a vote now?
Okay.
Call the roll, Dale.
Okay, Chair Ulrich,
Yes.
Vice Chair Farmer? Okay,
Yes.
Member Daddy,
Yes.
Member Rollet,
Yes.
and myself, yes.
And you did hear Tom.
Yeah, you heard me? I just got my audio working, so good night.
We heard you.
Okay.
Okay. Well, is there any other dimension to this issue at this point that we would want to discuss relative to making a recommendation for any other aspect of this subject?
Well, I liked the idea that Bob brought up about the metal containers that they come completed, and that's fireproof. Anything that's built with sticks nowadays not fireproof. And I liked that. I didn't hear enough about it, but it sounded interesting.
Yeah, they're not as simple as a lot of people are led to believe, Dale. Taking those containers and actually getting them to the point where they're habitable. They need to be insulated. You have moisture control issues. And I'm not sure I like the idea of a bunch of, storage containers in the backyards of homes in Ojai either. What I liked about what Bob pointed out were the modular homes, these prefabricated units that use alternative materials with the cost of lumber skyrocketing and no end in sight. I love the idea of these prefab steel framed homes that are super energy efficient, super affordable. I think, focus on that might be really interesting. I'm not sure I'm a huge fan of the container concept. I think it's,
I like that too, although I understand the containers can be covered with stucco and different things where they don't really look like a metal container when you get finished with the outside. But I do like the other idea too that Bob mentioned. And so we maybe should consider that. I want to throw one other thing on the table. And I know that it's not going to meet with most folks, but we need to start thinking about compostable toilets. I think that's an issue that will be coming up soon. We flush toilets many times and the good potable water just goes down the drain. So something to think about in the future.
for sure.
Chair, you asked about any other things. I would hope that when the communication goes back to council, I think more of an urgency than having these pre-approved plans off the shelf. That as I take a look at the discussion on the outside exterior, the hardy board and all that stuff, the simple fact is that November 8th of 18, when the campfire in Pleasant, California went up, they lost 23,000 structures. Of those 23,000 structures, 18,000 were residentially occupied units. As of 2 months ago, when we called the State Farm agent, and I asked him how many of the 18,000 residences are now occupied. In 2.5 years of 18,000, the number is 700. So I'm concerned that not a single unit with hardy board, not a single unit with any of that stuff was really incombustible because it took it all. And so the one thing that I would recommend is that we go back and we take a look at what we allow again, and we need to come up with an entirely different thought process. The brush is higher. We're in the middle of an 8-year drought. We've got some huge issues. We've got brush that has come back like crazy. And if we're going to allow any more units,
We have to stay on task. We have to stay on task, Bob.
so
Fire hardening may come back in a future item, but we have to have direction from council to discuss.
right. No, it's okay. I just thought on the PS, on the message, which is, I don't see where we need to adopt something uniform for this, but I think what we will do, what we do have a need for, is to discuss about some of the codes. And I would hope that when this thing goes to planning, that planning takes a look and determines again, how close to other structures, where the separation of fire divisions are going to be. What are we really going to need? Because these fires are driving their own environment. And we have homes that I've sent a number of people. I guess I can send council some pictures. Tom will send you a picture where we've allowed houses to have less than 1 foot separation between the roofs. 1 foot. And so that's a 6-inch setback on Grand Avenue on a couple of houses. And I'm very concerned about the interior fire. For years, we've not had enough water adequacy to put out those simple fires we've had. So anyhow, that's my thought.
Chair Ulrich, if I might add a comment.
Yes, I recognize the Planning Commission member.
Liaison. Just as a part of the discussion that might be carried forward to the city council on this topic, the only way to get building plans approved in one day is if the city building official has been through an entire package and verified that everything meets Title 24 plus any amendments made by the city of Ojai. And so if you want 3 or 5 or 10 different samples, that's 3 or 5 or 10 different complete passes through complete construction packages that the city building official would have to do without having a basis to charge anyone for that time and effort. So that's one thing. As far as and unless he does that, I don't see how the city could ever approve something. Is that right, Tom? Without you looking at a package or having looked at a package previously, how could you say it's okay? And I think you need to say it's okay, don't you?
Correct. So what would there are many ways, there are several ways. Again, these are just, two possible ways. I'll give you two possible ways that this could work. One, the architect could pay the plan check fee, submit plans, and the architect review the plans. I mean, the building department review the plans and say, okay, these are ready to issue. Get them.
Okay.
The next option would be that the city we would review the plans, and then the plan check fees would then be administered at the time of issuance.
Okay, and the plan check, I think, or zoning clearance or whatever, that's going to take care of separation, because we're talking about new build units, not conversions.
Right. So we would take worst case scenario. So that would limit your openings, because if you have it within a certain distance of the property line, you can only have so many windows and openings, and we're already ahead of the game in that we've adopted R337 throughout the city, which means everything has to be fire hardened. So that actually helps us out, because then the eaves are already protected and everything has the fire rating to be closer to the property line and to other structures.
But the plan check will take care of setbacks, right? It'll take care of floor area ratio. It'll take care of lot coverage restrictions, zone by zone.
That's all part of the zone clearance.
Right, part of the zone clearance. Okay.
I won't comment on the community development, the planning department aspect, because that's not my role. So as far as how to streamline that process for this situation, I don't have those answers.
Okay, but your aspect of it could be done if you went through the fully detailed packages for each design prior to anyone saying, I like that and want that one.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Because-
Does Title 24 allow for corrugated metal insulated buildings as residences?
So there are ways to do certain things. I don't think that would be a standard plan, because it's a modification, not a modification. It's a extending, like the building official has to approve it and review it. So it has to be for that specific site. So we would be looking more at, like Chair Ulrich had said, more along the lines of a hardy board or like a stucco kind of finish.
Okay, I kind of like your idea of getting local Ojai architects, if they want to be part of the standard program, to have them bring you a standard package and pay for your plan check. And if it passes, then it could go into a book that people could use without making any changes. If they start making changes, you've got to go back and do the plan check over again, right?
Right.
Okay, thank you, Chair.
And so they would have to, it wouldn't be something that the city, because plans are copyrighted. So we would have to say, these are the options. You want the plans, you have to go get a copy specific for your site from the architect.
Okay. So the zoning clearances timeline is still up in the air, but if we're going to use standard plans, you need to have approved them ahead of time.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I want to make a comment. When I read this, I took a look and I said, this is going to be great. This is going to be like ordering a home from Amazon. They're going to drop it off on the lot and I'm going to put it together and it's going to be done. It's going to be done in one day. And this is not, I really don't believe that this is going to be anywhere close to what.
Pretty perfect and instant. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not going to be instant soup. And so I think that until we have a higher demand, that again, I'm going to stick with my recommendation that I don't believe that we have the demand at this time for this. So
I have a question. It's sort of a non sequitur. Tom, on attachment A, page 1 of 6, the section A in the lower right corner, obviously the eave detail wasn't included, but how are the eaves treated on these stock plans from Ventura County?
I don't have those details either. These are what were given to me by the Ventura County for you. But that would be something that we would have to review. Even these standard plans, we have to review and make sure that they meet our standards. If they don't, then there's.
They can't be part of a standard plan.
Yeah. So there's a lot to be desired here, still left unresolved. Okay. Do we have any further?
Sure, over. Just a note, under the roof plan on note 2, they have addressed high fire areas in regards to eaves ventilation. So I'm not saying there may be more to the plan stating that.
One would hope, but I would also expect to see a note that said, extend a non-combustible material to cover the eaves, because obviously conventional construction, that's either starter board and rafter tails, so that has to get covered in a high fire, and that of course raises the question of how much of the city is in fact a high fire hazard area. So, but they don't seem as what's presented here, even as a structural framework, doesn't seem that it covers the necessary issues that we have in the city for new construction and fire resistant purposes. So, okay, do we have any other discussion? Because at this point I don't know if we need to make another more explicit recommendation to council relative to this assignment.
Is that to me?
No, I'm asking the board. So.
Well, I understand that they had a discussion about fire hardening, and that's in the council's that's in their lane, and they'll decide when and where and if that's something they want to send to us. And I think what we do is until it's the council's pleasure to do that, until they're ready to proceed with that. This is the first step recommendation, and I think we've done our job, and I think we've exhausted the topic for today.
Okay, so we're pretty clear that the recommendations at this point is there does not seem to be a reasonable basis to adopt a standard set of plan or plans. for ADUs within the city of Ojai due to its obviously non-conforming and unique nature of most of the subject parcels. So if is that the end of the conversation at this point and the basis of the meeting? Do we have agreement on that? I can't see you, Tom, or.
I agree. I agree 100%.
Okay, how about you, Rena?
Yes, I agree 100% as well.
Okay, well, in that case, then, do you have enough of a response, Tom, to go back to the council?
Sure.
In that case, then, fabulous. I will consider. We don't, and once and Cheryl, we don't have any member of the public who came in late.
No, we do not.
Okay, so at that point, then I'm going to close this meeting at what is it?
5:57.
5:57 p.m. And I thank all of you for participating. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Have a nice
Thank you.
Yep.
Good meeting.